So, right now I'm answering these 3 questions. In the Sutra of the Great Extinction of the Dharma spoken by the Buddha said that there will be an increase in evil as time passes, and Buddhism will soon cease to exist. More and more people will be less compassionate, and it will eventually be rare to find good-hearted people. Maybe 2 or 3 in every million. Why is that? Why does the world head to that direction? Well, that's what you found from the Great Extinction Sutra. I haven't read that sutra before. Probably there is such a sutra. And there's so many sutras that I haven't read. But in a lot of sutras, it is mentioned that we're heading that way. We're heading to extinction. Just put aside this question and let's just think about it. Think about this world. When I start to think about how people abuse this world, I'm thinking of when I was a teenager, when we used to give out gifts, or Christmas gifts, or Easter gifts. We bought gift paper, and carefully wrap it, and we spend the money to buy the paper, the ribbons and all that. And then we'll give out the gifts. And then the receiver of the gifts would unwrap it, fold the gift paper, and put it for next year's use, or for some better use. Right now, when you receive a gift, most people just throw away the paper. Because right now, if you buy, say, 2 packages of tea, nice tea, the packaging to it, the marketing packaging to it, it's much more expensive than the tea, the value of the tea itself. They have very nicely decorated boxes, plastic, metal, and they just want to increase sales. They don't care about what will be used, whether it will be recycled or not, what would happen to a fantastic box like that. Some people who receive the gifts, maybe the packaging of the tea, they just throw the box away. Because right now the boxes, the packaging, the outer design is much more expensive than the content. Why did they do that? Because plastic is readily available, and papers. Where did they get the paper from? They get the paper from the mill, from the, what do you call that? Condensed. The paper they make from bark, from trees. And they have to tear down trees, pulp, yes, the pulp. They have the pulp. They have to use paper, they get it from pulp. Pulp get it from trees. They cut down all the trees and use all the paper, and they just waste it. People said they want to conquer nature. People wanted to conquer nature. There was a very famous German poet, Goethe. I don't know if that's the right. It's Goethe, right? That's the right pronunciation. He said that we generally, that's what he said. We think that we can conquer nature, but sooner or later, nature would revenge because we abuse nature. Look at how we abuse the species of animals. The seal they kill in the Arctic Ocean, whales, even animals are getting extinct. Many animal species, they're not there anymore. And there's a hole in the atmosphere. UV would go through it. You can't just lie under the sun anymore. Because when you get sunburn, you get cancer from UV. Your eyes have to be protected. So more and more we find out that just put aside the extinction, the Sutra of extinction. You think about human species. Other than the wars, international war stage, other than the genocides, other than internal wars, how humans treat each other, how humans treat animals, how humans treat nature. We should be repaying nature. We appreciate nature. We get everything from nature, but we think that we conquer nature and get whatever is from nature. One of these days, nature will revenge. Nature would say, I had enough. No more of such things. And many prophets speculate that in 100 or 200 years, or within 100 years, international wars arise not because of struggling for minerals and petroleum and all those rare resources. They'll be struggling for fresh water. No more water. Look at Canada. We have the ocean, we have glaciers, and how do we waste water? We have a lot of water, but it's wasteful. It's a habit in Canada, and sometimes I'm also the culprit in that habit too. Because why? Because it's been so common in Canada. I received an email. I forgot who sent it to me. It's in the desert in Africa, in some poor, the poor parts of some countries. The victims of starvations, they are down to their bones. They don't have water, and what do they use for washing their hair? They were standing right behind the cows. And when the cow excrete urine, they use the urine to wash their hair. And they have no more water to drink, and they suck directly from the cow's breast. So all these, have you already seen the approach of extinction? You don't have to read the sutra sometimes. Don't just blindly believe in words. You just open your eyes and look at what's happening around us. I remember 20 years ago, I have never been as now conscious in pesticide than now, because I like to drink tea. And I could never imagine 20 years ago that people use a lot of pesticides in tea. I thought tea is good taste, but now I've been told that don't drink tea because they use a large quantity of pesticide to kill. They spray pesticides on tea, and now they come up with another idea: organic tea, no pesticide, and this is pesticide tea. So what they're saying virtually is saying, this tea, you're slowly killing yourself when you eat this. Spend a lot of more money to buy these organic ones. You don't even know if they're organic. So if that is a problem, they always find a way to make money. So I shouldn't linger on this. I'm talking about Buddhism, not about the evils of the world and how people exploit nature, harm nature. Finally, they get their revenge. Our sea level is getting higher and higher. And some people say some country in 100 years will submerge underwater. And all of a sudden, the next morning, you're living on the second floor, you come out, oh, that's ground level. You can swim to work in your office. You couldn't find your office anymore. So the water level is going higher and higher and higher. So what else? Pesticides, extinction of species, abusing nature. And how about, that's just the surface. That's just what we see. How about inside of us, in our mind? What do we do in our mind? Is it getting dirtier, filthier than before, or is it getting more saintly than before? We have a lot of heroes and heroines, a lot of sages, saints in ancient times. In China, we have Confucius, Mencius. In the West, we have Jesus. We have the Buddha. As time goes on, right now, do we have any saints of the world? Any more Buddhists left? Any more Bodhisattvas? Fortunately, we still have the Buddhist teaching, which is getting extinct too. More and more it's getting to extinction. We used to have, in the ancient days, we used to have a lot of Sangha members, monks walking in the streets with their bows going on arms round, walking peacefully. And now, what do you see? Just the opposite. We see guys whining with the bottles, swinging their bodies. Used to be saints walking in the street you can talk to. Do we have those anymore? So, we're seeing more and more problems with our mind. We don't even have to read the Extinction Sutra. We know more and more incurable diseases. Yes, there is invention of medicine, technology, but as I said, the average longevity of humans, the sutra said, is decreasing. But how come we see people are getting to old age now, 90 years old, 80 years old, some to 100 years old? As I said, the Buddhist tells us a general trend that human longevity is decreasing. However, there is cyclical fluctuation. There's fluctuations inside the trend. It's just like the stock market. The general trend is increasing or decreasing. But in the increasing and decreasing per day, there's always the fluctuation. High level, low level. Right now, we're maybe at a high tide. So, if people argue about it and say, how come my grandmother lived up to 100 years and the Buddha said human longevity is decreasing? No, it's not true. Yes, you're only in that section of the cycle. The general trend, the average is decreasing. All right, the second part of the questions. Now, I don't know if that is such a sutra or is it real. So it is not real, you don't have to answer this question. This question, I just found the sutra when I searched the Dharma ending period online. Yeah, there's such, could be such a sutra. Yeah, okay, that's all for this question. Second question, how do we know that Arhats exist? Do we see them? How do we know that reincarnation exists? That's a question asked by a lot of people. If you rephrase the question in a more logical way, we should say, how do we believe in something? How do we know that exists? How do we believe in it? What forms the basis of our belief in anything? Don't you have to find out that before you answer this question, before you raise this question? How do I believe in something? How do you believe in something? What is your cognitive procedure in understanding something? You have a cognition going through your mind. Everybody have that cognitive procedure going through their mind when they're trying to comprehend something, absorb something, understand something, and take that as a belief in his mind, right? You have to go through certain procedures. What do you do in performing the procedures? How do you understand things? Basically, the Buddha, as far as I can remember, there's more details to it, but I just give you generalizations. From the study of consciousness, it says, number one, you believe in what your senses could feel. You can see. I believe you exist because I see you there, right there. I believe, my eyes see you. I believe in something that is really exists. I believe in the now and the here that you exist. You believe in that. I can't say, I see you live here, but you never exist. I don't think you live. It's not right because you exist. My eyes see you. My ears listen. So you exist. I believe in actual direct contact of my senses on certain things. Then I believe in it. And the second is, from where? From an indirect source. From an indirect source. What indirect source? My father said that, I've never seen my granddad before, but my father told me that he has a father. But I never have seen him. He died before I was born. My eyes did never see my granddad, but my dad told me his dad exists. So I know certainly for sure that I have a granddad. So I believe in what other people told me, especially trustworthy sources, right? That forms your belief. And that's certainly true. You don't believe you have a granddad? You want to say, no, I never believe in anything I haven't seen. So for that reason, I blindly believe in it. I never seen my granddad. My granddad never have existed before. And then you say, how do I know there's a Buddha? I've never seen Buddha. He appeared 2,500 years ago. I've never seen him. How can I believe him? I, maintaining my self-view, only believe in what my senses can approach, can contact. So I don't believe in a Buddha because I've never seen him before. You think you're logical? You think you're clever? You're wise? Because according to literature left behind for mankind, we know historically there's a Buddha who exists before. An indirect source told me. And these sources were justified and supported by many sources, by literature, by history, that such a person exists. So I believe in it. For that reason, I also believe in the existence of Jesus. Why will I deny the existence of Jesus and recognize the existence of the Buddha? Would I be logical? Jesus exists. So why should I object other religion? Why should I discriminate other religion? Why should I downgrade other religion and upgrade my own religion? Why should I say Buddhist is better than Jesus? Why should I say that? They are the same nature. There's just the equality of it. It's you who discriminate. They never discriminate. So I'm talking about the second sources that you believe in an indirect source. So far, are you okay with me logically? That's based on logic. What's the third source of belief? The third source of belief is from your own analysis, from your own intelligence, your own wisdom. How do I do that? Or from your own experiences. I know that fire would hurt me because I was burned before when I was a child. I put my finger into the fire, I got burned. For that reason, I believe in that fire burns me because my experiences told me. And for that reason, anything that gives out heat, according to my analysis, based on my experiences, I know that would hurt me. So you believe in something based on experiences and your logical analysis, investigation of it. Not just the analysis, the synthesis of it. Analysis is to break it down into parts and try to understand it carefully. A synthesis is, there's so many parts together, which one I believe? You conglomerate together and get a bird's eye view of it. It's two different things, but that is your contemplation, your mentality, your cognitive mentality that goes through it. All right, with that information in mind, with that basis of a belief, now explain this question. Is that fair? How do we do it? How do we know that Arahat exists? The Buddha told us Arahat exists. There's so much literature about Arahat exists. From a saintly source, we know that Arahat exists. It's just that your grandfather exists because your father told you so. The second source is from an indirect source. Is direct source? There's so many literature written about people who are liberated, emancipated from mental afflictions. They have no more mental afflictions. They are free, they are emancipated from fear, from disappointment, from depression, from anger, from hatred, from anxiety, from greediness. There are people who are like that. We call them saints. I know there's different levels of practicing the saintly way. Say, for example, even my grandmother, maybe, my mother. They're very wise people and they know how to be compassionate. So there are different levels of understanding of compassion. So there are different levels of mentality. So these Arhats are of a high wisdom mentality. They are the enlightened people. They exist, I know, because everybody is different. Some people have higher wisdom. Do I believe in people having higher wisdom? I believe in genius people. Genius do exist. You don't believe in a genius exist? There was just pick an example. Walter Russell, you heard of Walter Russell? Of the 1940s? Walter Russell's education never have exceeded grade 9. He just finished grade 9. He designed the New York skyscraper. He had all the architectural drawing in his mind. He never learned it. He was also an ice skating Olympic champion. He was also a philosopher. He was also an engineer. But he never learned engineering before. Take a look at type in the internet for Walter Russell. He wrote books. He was a writer. He was a philosopher. He wrote about Book of Light, the Book of the Iliad. I forgot. I read some of his writings. Extremely intelligent, high-level writings. And I still remember in one chapter, he talked about relationship between women and men. And he said, which conform with the Buddhist teaching. He said, sexual misconduct would pull down the wisdom level of an individual. In other words, the more you are involved with sexual misconduct, every time when you commit this, your wisdom level lowers. Because water tends to find the same level. It does not matter what tubes you use. Water always finds the same level. If you're having a relationship with anyone whose wisdom level is lower than you go down to that level. Scientifically, that's proven. Water would find its own level. You use different tubes in a lab, and you pour water into that central tubes, they will always find the same level. You always will get the same level of wisdom with your partner in that relationship. So that's what the Buddha said. This kind of misconduct would pollute your wisdom. Do you believe in Arhats according to your indirect source? You believe in Arhats. According to writings, you believe in Arhats. According to your own cognitive recognitions, analysis, and synthesis, you believe in Arhats. Do we see them? The next question is, do we see them? Do you see molecules? Do you see protons and electrons? We got all kinds of protons and electrons in the air. Do you see them? No, I don't see them. Do you believe their existence? No, I don't believe them exist. Then you're a fool. Because all scientists say they exist. You don't actually use your eyes to see protons and electrons. But the fact that your eyes can see them, you can say they don't exist. So do you see Arhats? Do you see protons and electrons? You don't see. Protons and electrons are currently in front of you. You don't see. And you saw some Arhats yesterday? Are you illogical? Do we know that reincarnation exists? Do we know that reincarnation exists? Wow, we can talk about this question for ages, for 1 hour. But let's talk about it in just 5 minutes before we break up for going to the park, and that's more important. The sunlight is there, the sky is blue. Let's just talk about yourself individually. Where do I come from? I exist now. I just come from my mother's womb, that's all. What happened before? No, there's nothing before. The scientist says it's the matching of a spermatozoa to an ovum, and all of a sudden it gets growing and growing and growing, and I come out. Isn't it that simple? That's the explanation of a scientist who only see one life. their time dimension is restricted to one life. As a matter of fact, their time dimension is not only restricted to one life, it is restricted to one test, one lab test. But the Buddha's view is wider, much broader. The Buddha said it's not just this one life, it's many lives before and many lives afterwards. The Buddha's view is the horizon is unlimited. Not just one lab test, not just one lifetime. You came from another life before. You brought your karma into this womb. That's enough for these questions. Let's go on to the next one. Buddhism seems to be love and emphasizing compassion. Don't love, kindness, and awareness have to come before compassion. So what you mean is love and kindness should come before compassion. You are partially true. If you don't love your family, how can you be compassionate to others? Your family are the closest members to you, and if you don't learn to be kind to them, how can you learn to be kind to others? From the temporal point of view, even as a practitioner, if you want to practice compassion, you practice to the closest members to you first, and that being your family members. So you should be really kind and compassionate to your family members. You should express your filial piety to your mom and dad. You should use fraternal love to your brothers and sisters, and that's how you practice compassion. If you cannot practice love at home, how can you render compassion to the whole world? In one way, yes, love, which is conditional, sometimes kindness too, comes before compassion. On the other hand, it's together. When you are practicing love and kindness, at the same time you're practicing compassion. And when you are really compassionate, you don't discriminate between you, others, and your own family. In other words, there is no discrimination. That ultimate compassion is free from discrimination. You won't say, this is closest to me, this is my family members. I love them more than I love you. In other words, to discriminate your love. But compassion is unconditional, undiscriminative, and totally oneness of mind. That's the ultimate compassion. So every time when you chant the mantra of great compassion, you actually render your compassion to all sentient beings. You are purifying your mind.